Hello, happy Thanksgiving. I'm Danny Gregory, and welcome to Draw Men with Me. Um, JJ and I had this conversation yesterday, and she said, "You've got to stop telling people to draw men." So I'm not going to be telling you to draw men today. Of course, you don't have to draw anything that I tell you to do. You can do whatever you want. That's the nature of this program, which is basically just to get together and spend some time chatting and drawing. And I'll give you a suggestion as to what we could draw. I'll show you how I draw it, but it's really up to you. And today, of course, is, at least here in the United States, it is Thanksgiving. So it's a holiday, even though it's a Thursday. And so it's so nice to see that many of you have joined me today. And maybe you haven't yet popped your turkey in the oven. No, you better have by now, right? It's 10 o'clock here. It is noon on the East Coast. Yeah, your bird has got to be in there if you're having one. But it is, it's traditionally kind of a slow and lazy day, I think, except for those people who are rushing around making huge amounts of food for lots of people. The rest of us are sitting around, day drinking, maybe watching football. I don't know if that's what you're into. Or drawing. And that's what we're here to do today. So thank you. It's so nice to see so many friends, Holly and Snails. France. How nice to see France, who teaches with us at Spark, Sketchbook School, and Fran Cooper, who's apparently not well. But so many people who have been part of our community all year round, and to whom I am very grateful for being part of this. So today is going to be a day in which you're going to draw what you would like to draw. I'll give you an idea, but ultimately I'm not going to show you any reference, and you're kind of free to draw what you like, because what I'd like to do today is, well, I'll tell you in a second. Let me just tell you a couple of other things. Get them some interesting announcements, notifications, stuff. Let's see. We have, I just wanted to mention our podcast this week, which is an interview or a chat with Miriam Schulman, who has just written a new book called Artpreneur, or How to Be an Artpreneur. And she's a great artist who also has a really popular podcast about art. But she also has written this book, which is really about, it's not necessarily about it's not just for people who want to make a living being an artist, although it's certainly for that. But a lot of it is also about like how to take your power back, how to be, own your art, and to feel like it is a worthwhile part of your life, and it is something that you're allowed to do, and something that you can be proud of, and that you can invest your time and energy in. Something that I think, I talk to you about. I talk to myself about it a lot too. And Miriam has lots of great ideas and tips about it. But we just have a sort of a larger conversation about things, as we tend to do on Art for All, just about creative matters. So if you've never listened to Art for All, this is a good episode to start with. You can watch it here on YouTube if you'd like, or you can listen to it on your device of choice while you're, I don't know, peeling vegetables or something like that, washing dishes, whatever it is you may be doing today that you'd like some background company for. I want to remind you also about Jimmy Leslie's Fresh Gouache workshop. It's our last workshop of the year. It might be our last workshop for a little while. So if you are interested in having a really profound experience, Fresh Gouache is going to be it, because learning about gouache is something that you sort of think you either have no idea about and don't even know how to begin, or else you kind of think you know. And then when you work with someone like Jimmy and you see what you can do with it, what an incredible medium gouache is. Gouache is opaque watercolor, but it's pretty different from watercolor. And Jimmy is a great painter, began as an oil and acrylic painter, but now loves gouache and does beautiful stuff in his sketchbook. I've never seen a sketchbook like his. It's incredible. December 10th, we're going to be doing that workshop with my friend Jimmy. So speaking of workshops, last week I had my first in-person workshop here it is. Here we are setting up the room, and it was in our friends own this incredible facility called the Walter Studio, but they also run a foundation that I really believe in, and it's called the Walter Hive, and I do what I can to support them, and this was a fundraiser for them. So it was an evening called How Sketchbook Can Change Your Life, and I talked about how sketchbooks have changed my lives, but then we began to draw, and we did some drawing, and from what I heard, a lot of people fell in love with drawing last Thursday night, so that was really gratifying. I met a lot of people. I signed a bunch of books. It was really nice. I don't know if you were there, but if you were, thanks for coming. It was really a fun evening, and maybe we'll do it again. We'll see. Their organization, Monica, is called the Walter Hive, as in like beehive. Walter Studios is the name of this particular facility where we met and talked and drew. Okay, so what I want to talk about today is gratitude. This year was another tough year for all kinds of even new reasons reasons for perhaps not being grateful, but I think there are always things that we can be grateful for. And I like to use Thanksgiving as an opportunity to sit down and think about the last year and think what stood out as stuff that I'm really happy and grateful and thankful for. So what I like to do is to do a page in my sketchbook and to devote it to just doing little tiny drawings and maybe some little notes. This is not a big drawing exercise. It's more how to use drawing. And just from a purely technical drawing point of view, what we're doing is we're drawing things basically from our imaginations. We're drawing things that will summarize the idea. So if you're really grateful for, I don't know, your body and how strong you've become this year because you went to the gym a lot, you could draw a barbell, or you could draw yourself and your muscles. We're just not drawing from reference. We're just making stuff up, little things. So we're going to cover the page with however many things you have. I'm going to draw, I don't know, probably a dozen little things. You draw your own. You're not grateful necessarily for the same things I'm grateful for. I'll share with you what I'm thinking about. And the Walter Hive is one. I think JJ's right. I didn't do a great job in explaining that the Walter Hive is an organization that provides art to the needy in one form or another. It might be school kids. It might be frontline health workers. They do art classes for people who work in ERs, all kinds of things like that. So it's really bringing art as a healing thing into people's lives, and that's something, of course, that I believe in. And here is their URL if you'd like some more information about them. I strongly recommend you look into them, particularly if you're in the Phoenix area. Okay, so let's get to work. Here's my sketchbook. I'm thinking I'm going to work with with a brush pen today. Haven't done that in a while here, and it will be nice. So take a deep breath and think, what are you grateful for today? I'm going to start, and I think I'm going to work kind of symbolically, as it were, in the sense that I'm not going to just, I'll be doing, sometimes I'll be doing drawings of the thing. But for instance, I think the thing that I am most grateful for of anything this year and for many years is my wife, JJ. And she is the person who I love the most. I love a lot of people, but I love her the most. And she is part of Sketchbook School, of course, but she's also part of my everyday. And we've been as close as a couple can get over the last 3 years. But we also, we work together all day. are together. We're locked in this house, or we were. And so I'm going to, but I'm not going to draw her because that usually doesn't turn out that well. I want to make her happy. So I'm going to just draw her as my heart because that is where she resides. And she's not feeling well today, which is an unfortunate thing to happen on Thanksgiving. But that is going to be my symbol for her. And what I'm thinking of doing is I think I'm going to draw these, as I said, in brush pen. And then I'm going to pull out my gouache because I haven't used my gouache in a while. I want to get ready for this workshop too. And so I'm going to do that. And then I think another thing that I'm very grateful for is the softball head, as I call it, of Twiggy Beef. Twiggy, our pug, she has been part of our life now for a couple of years. And she is, a constant source of joy. She is hilarious. She is fascinating. And, she's a very good dog. She has her cousin here with her right now, her cousin Luna, who is an Australian Shepherd. And, she is having a good time with her cousin, but although they fight a lot, but that's it's like sibling rivalry. And that is Twiggy Beef. So Twiggy is definitely a reason to be grateful. She is my entertainment. She is my walking companion every day. And, she's a good dog. What else? My family. I'm grateful for my family, for my son Jack and his girlfriend Amanda, who were just here visiting us last week. And I'm grateful for my sister, who just went through colon cancer this year and fortunately is doing great now. She's ended the treatment. She is had a clean bill of health. My mother, who is, how old is she? 84? She 84? 83. She's 83. I don't want to make her seem older than she is. So yes, that is, so how am I going to represent my family? You know what I'm thinking of doing? I'm thinking of drawing a tree. Because then this tree will also represent my trees, which is another thing I'm really grateful for, which is having trees in my garden. And we have beautiful trees. We have pomegranate trees, and we have mulberry trees. We have pear trees, and we have, are they pistachio? Yeah, pistachio trees. They don't produce pistachios, but so I'm grateful for our trees. In fact, we just had an arborist here to feed them and trim them, so they're beautiful. So I'm going to put that tree as a representation. And yeah, as Margot Alargo says, having a garden is a blessing for sure. It is a blessing. I love having a garden. Lived in New York City for many years, had a little tiny garden on our patio, lived by a big park, but I didn't have an actual garden of my own. Now I have a huge garden. It's ridiculous. It's embarrassingly large garden to kind of deal with nature and interact with nature. It's so great to be able to sit outside and watch lovebirds and quails and hawks and bunnies. We have lots of bunnies and all that kind of stuff. So, So Mar-a-Lago is suggesting I put some roots on the tree. I'll suggest them, but if you can see the roots on your tree, it may not be a good thing. So I'm going to avoid doing that. But yeah, so that's my family and my tree, my family tree. All right, what else do I want to be grateful for? I think there's you know what I would say? I'm grateful for Sketchbook Skool. I find that Sketchbook Skool has been part of my life now for, it's 9 years ago. Is it? Yeah, 9 years ago that we started thinking and building Sketchbook School, and 8.5 years ago, when we released our first class. So, Sketchbook School has been my job now for quite a while, but it is also something that I love a lot, and I love all of the people, and I'm so grateful for them, all of the friends that I've made, and the wonderful teachers that we have, and how much I've learned myself. I'm not somebody who went to art school. I'm not somebody who, has taken many art classes, honestly, but I just love the fact that every day I can go to Spark, and I can learn from people like France and so many other people who are just great teachers, and it's right there. It's just so nice to have that. So I would definitely say Sketchbook School is something I'm grateful for every year, and that is a very nice thing to have in my life. What else? I would say I'm grateful for my health. I also had cancer a couple years ago, not a couple, a few years ago. I had surgery, and I still have to go to the doctor periodically, but I'm doing fine. And, I'm old, but I'm reasonably healthy. So I could probably do more exercise than I do. But, I'm grateful for being healthy. So how can I represent health? You know what? I think I'm just going to do a little drawing of my body, just because I feel like doing a drawing like that. So I'm going to draw. For those of you who are squeamish, this is going to be a nude, a tasteful nude, I hope. I will cover the offending parts like that. And yeah, there. And so I'm also just generally grateful for my body. It's not a perfect body. It is not necessarily the most attractive body, but it has served me well for as long as I can remember. It has been a good friend, and my body has been loyal to me. It has remained by my side. Isn't it funny how I talk about me and my body as being separate things, which of course they're not. I reside here in my body, but yet my brain dominates my mind. It's all about the head. Yes, but maybe I'll make myself smile a little bit, because why not, So there it is. It's not a perfect specimen, but it's all I got, as Chris says. I just saw you said that. Yes, it's the only one I have. So got to do with it what I can. What else? I've made a few friends this year, new friends, and how am I going to represent them? I think I'll just sort of draw a bunch of faces and I'll think about different people who I've met this year, and how I can represent them. But yeah, it's, we've moved to this brand new place. And then as soon as we got here, we weren't allowed to meet anybody because we were all in quarantine. So, that's been kind of a struggle, missing my old friends, and it being quite difficult to make new friends given the circumstances. But then this year, I'm grateful for the fact that I got to finally, I got to meet some new people and hear some, new stories and new points of view on the world, and, share new stuff. So friends are really important, and I'm glad to finally, it seems, to be getting some new ones. But boy, I've been complaining to JJ about this since we got here. It was something I was pretty worried about when we left New York. Even when we started thinking about New York, I thought, well, I've lived there my whole life. Everybody I know is there. But of course, there's a lot of people like you who I know from the internet. So, this is also an opportunity to kind of get back to get back in touch with some friends, honestly, that I'd lost touch with on the internet too. So yeah, that's another thing that I'm glad that I've gotten this year. What else? Something, I don't think we've really talked about this here, but when we came to Phoenix at the very beginning of the pandemic, and we were living for a while with my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law, and we didn't have a home. We had our house in New York, but we couldn't go back to it. And eventually we found this house that I'm in now. And we rented it for a while. And then this year, we bought it. So we now own this house. And it is just such a wonderful house. And so I'm very grateful to have this house. I'm not doing a very good drawing of it, but it is, it's a very much of an Arizona house. It is one story, and it has trees all around it, and there's a big tree right here, actually. And it's just a beautiful little house on this big garden, big plot of land. So, and there's a fence back here. And so I just love this place. And I'm so grateful that this September, we finally made it our own. It even has a little fireplace. So there's a chimney. So yeah, so that house is a nice one. Chris asked, did we fire the leaf blowers? We didn't, actually. We've come to terms with leaf blowers, and we said to them, you know what? If we're going to pay you, you're going to work at our schedule. So they now come after Draw With Me. They'll be here later on. So yeah. What else? So one thing in this house that I'm grateful for is I have my studio, which is really nice. How am I going to represent the studio? I think what I'm going to do is I've been getting into having these little carts. I have multiple carts. I have them here by my side, and so I can kind of roll them around, and I can have all my art supplies. Oops, you can't even see what I'm doing. You can see I have all my art supplies on wheels here, and I can array them in various configurations depending where I am in the studio and what I'm working on. So it is nice, and I find that having all of my stuff available and ready to roll, ready as it were, and ready to go has been really important, because I don't have to go rooting around in drawers and closets and stuff like that. I just look right there. I look right there, and there it all is, and it's all set up nicely, and I, arrange them by category, so I know this is my watercolor cart, and this is my drawing pencil cart, and here's my little thing with drawers that contain pens. It is really nice to have. So I'm very grateful that I came up with this cart idea, although I didn't come up with it. Clearly, Margot Alargo is another cart lover. Yes, Cynthia, get carts. Susan, get carts. Carts are the best because you can see everything. You look at it, there it all is, but you can also push it up against the wall. You can hide it. You can roll it out of the place. You can pull up just the cart you need next to your table and then push it away. I find I'm using stuff much more because I'm a cart man, as they say. So I'm a cart lover. So I'm grateful for my carts. What else? Well, art supplies. Gotten a lot of new art supplies this year. Thanks in part to our sponsors, Winsor Newton and Hanamula, but also other companies that we've worked with on workshops. A lot of the workshops that we do, there's a supply list. I want to talk to you about that because this is an aside, but I've been hearing from people that they are kind of don't sign up for workshops sometimes, or are hesitant to, because they don't necessarily want to buy a big list of supplies. I totally get that. particularly if you take several. I mean, we've been offering one a month. I don't expect you to go out and be spending huge amounts of money that's crazy. Here's what you do. You watch the workshop. Just watch it. Maybe you want to take some notes as you're watching it, and then you decide, okay, here were the really crucial things that this instructor was using that I don't have. Because you don't have to have exactly what they have, ever. If they have something interesting or something you didn't even know about, great, go and get it. But don't buy art supplies just because it's on a supply list. You don't have to do that. Don't worry about it. A lot of times we feel like if I don't have the exact right supplies, I'm not going to be able to do this thing properly. It's rarely true. You're a creative person. You're an artist. You can work with whatever you like. So always feel free to wait before you buy. You don't have to have everything on the day. So if that's ever holding you up, remember what I'm saying now, which is this is an art experience. It's not, this is not a class in school where you have to have all the perfect textbooks and all that stuff, right? So that's all. That is my thought. I'm not sure if any of you were thinking about that, but there you go, if you did. All right. So what else am I thinking about? So art supplies. Yeah, I want to represent some art supplies. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some little tubes of, whoops. Here we go. I'm going to draw some little tubes of paint. These are very strangely shaped tubes of paint, but they will do. I'm going to do some pens because I got some new pens. I got a really cool new fountain pen. I have to show it to you sometime. In fact, you know what I also got was one of my friends at the Walter Hive gave me this incredible new Japanese dip pen and nib that I've never seen the like before. I'll show it to you sometime, and you can then drool and go and buy one of your own if you want. And then I also have I got a lot of pencils this year because I finally broke down and stopped being a pencil hater. And so I kind of got some pencils, and I'll put some pencil boxes there. So this will just represent the general kind of pile of art supplies. I'm sure you have one too. Okay. So how is your list coming along? Or are you just jibber jabbering with everybody else in chat? That's fine too. Okay, this is kind of a weird one, but we got a new inflatable hot tub. It sounds, I don't know, I think when I was living in New York, if somebody had said, oh, we have a hot tub, I would have said, oh, really? Are you making 70s porn movies now? What are you doing with a hot tub? But I have to tell you, hot tubs in the Arizona winter are the bomb. It is so nice to have. So there's me sitting in a hot tub as I do many mornings with my cup of tea, and I listen to the birds, and I sit there, and the steam rises. Literally, steam rises out of it, and there's nothing as lovely as that. It is very nice. So I'm grateful for my hot tub. It was not an expensive item. It was surprisingly not expensive, but I really like having it. All right, what else do I want to think about and be grateful for? Here's an important one. What I want to be grateful for is making stuff. I'm really grateful that I am an artist. I'm really grateful that you're an artist. I'm really grateful that we get to use our skills and our abilities and our perspectives to make new things. There's nothing like it, right? Maybe you're somebody who didn't make stuff for a long time. I was kind of like that. I didn't really make art. I didn't really do stuff for myself that way, and now I get to do it. And it's not just because it happens to be my job, but when I first figured that out about 20 years ago, and I realized, you know what? I can make things, not to sell, not to be my source of income, but just because it's really fun. And I have this burning kind of itch. Well, That's a different story. I talked to my doctor about that. But I have this desire to make things, and I get to. And I have to say, you know how I'm going to embody this? There's a lot of different ways I could do it. I could do it with my sketchbooks. I could do it with films and things like that. I could do it with Draw With Me. But I think I'm going to do it. This is a slightly odd choice, but I'm going to do it with a YouTube logo. What does a YouTube logo look like? It's kind of, let's say it's like that. So I'm grateful for the fact that the internet has given me a place to share the stuff I make. And I find that when I have a place to share it, I'm that much more likely to make it. So that is so I think having a place to share what I make is something I'm grateful for. And the fact that I can make things is something I'm grateful for. And I'm strangely going to represent both of those things with a YouTube logo. I know. I'm not sure about it either, but that is what I'm doing. But I have to say, here's the thing I'll do slightly differently, is I'm also just, in a related matter, I'm just grateful to have art. I think art is just so endlessly interesting and beautiful, and there's so many forms of it, and there's so many things to learn about it, and I love the art that I make. I love the art that you make, that I get to show every week here at the beginning of Draw With Me. I love the art that I get to see in museums now that I get to go back to them, in galleries too, if I ever get to go back to New York. So I'm going to represent this. It's a little picture frame. Again, slightly ironic because I don't frame the stuff that I make, but I'm going to have that as my representation anyway, which is just that. What else? You know what I'm also grateful for? I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful to have people who I can share what I make with, I'm grateful that I have, that when I write an essay, I have somebody to send it to. I don't have to go and deal with publishers and do all that stuff, and most of the time get rejected and just end up putting it in a drawer. I love that I can send it to you. I love that I can, do this, what we're doing right now, and that I have you to do this with. If it was just Draw With Me alone, I've been drawing with me alone for a long time. But the fact that here it is Thanksgiving, we can get together and we can draw. So how am I going to represent you? How am I going to represent you? You know what? I was going to say, should I draw like a blank face? That would be kind of offensive. How can I represent you? Help me to think about that one. So think about like how do I show you? What is my symbol for you? Because you have so many faces, you have so many interests, points of view, places you live. So maybe what if I represent you, or the people who I get to make stuff for, with the world? It's not really the world, not yet. I'm trying to expand my my footprint and my target market, but that's a little extreme. But I think I'm going to just have the earth. Now, the question is, can I draw? What if I draw? Okay, this is going to be a really dangerous thing to be doing, but I'm going to draw it from the Pacific side. So I'm going to draw a really bad representation of Australia, and then what else? This is sort of Japan and the Pacific Isles, and then maybe I could draw South America there, and then I'll draw. All right, this is not going that well. It's not easy to draw the world, but this is sort of where I am right there. Kind of, this is sort of the United States, and that's Phoenix, and this is sort of Alaska and whatever. And then there's sort of the North Pole here, and there's the South Pole there. I don't know. You get it. That'll kind of be it. All right. So New Zealand, good point. Where's New Zealand? Well, it's Tasmania. And is New Zealand sort of here? I know. Where is New Zealand? Is New Zealand? Can't think of where it is. All right, I'm going to say it's right here. It's not, but I'm going to pretend that it is. All right. So I've done my basic things, and I'm grateful that I've had as much time to do this. Is it under Australia? Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably down there. I don't know. I would be grateful for a better understanding of geography. It's been a long time since I took geography in school, and I think they've discovered a lot of new stuff since I did. So, I mean, when I was a boy, they didn't even know where New Zealand was. They hadn't even discovered it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this thoroughly dry, and I think what I'm going to do is, should I color it first? Maybe I should do a little bit of painting. Yeah, I'm going to do a little painting. I was going to go in and do some writing, but I think I won't. So I think I'm going to set that aside for now. Dangerously leave that bottle of ink open. I was kind of thinking I might go gouache. So here I am reaching for my cart, my gouache cart. And I'm just going to add a little color, add a little pizzazz. So I'm painting this heart predictably red, but maybe when it dries, the gouache dries, I can go back over it with some other stuff. This is not meant to be a color by numbers or color within the lines exercise, but maybe it will be. We'll see. Gouache tends to bring out the sort of graphic in me. In other words, I like to use gouache for its opacity, and I kind of love the flatness of the colors. So, it is just such a bright, chipper kind of medium, and this has a lot of really nice energy to it, kind of cartoony. Doesn't have to be. In fact, when you see the way Jimmy uses it, he layers it and mixes it in ways that are just gorgeous. I tend to be a bit more primitive, but yeah. So I don't want to completely ruin this twiglet thing. See, I should have used watercolor here. Should have. We'll see what happens. Maybe when it dries, it'll be a little bit transparent. I don't know. We'll see. Right now, it just looks like I painted right over that drawing, but I didn't. It'll probably show up underneath there. And so that's okay. And then these eyes, such what appear to be really black eyes, but they're actually almost caramel colored when you get close and look at them in the right light. So this looks like a mess right now. It will look better when it dries. And if it doesn't, then I won't be grateful for it. I'm joking. All right, so this tree is both a metaphor for my family and also a literal tree. So how do I paint it? Maybe I'll paint it in sort of more interesting colors. Maybe I'll make it kind of like a fauvist tree. And see how that turns out. See what I'm saying about gouache? I mean, look at that color. That's a really super cool color. So yeah, I mean, my family tree can be multicolored because, my family are they multicolored? Sort of. but they're certainly unusual. So I will have them represented thusly. Another thing about gouache is it's good to have a little patience and let it dry. So I'll come back in and hit this up. All right, Sketchbook Skool. I think I'm going to leave that for now because I don't want to eradicate my type. So I will leave it black and white, but maybe I'll come back in and use a bit of Sumi ink later on, which is sort of nice and transparent and warm. So, and here's me, a little pink naked me. See, now the gouache is, I'm doing it so it's a little bit diluted and it's a nice light color. So it's allowing the black to show through. But gouache could completely cover over that ink. It could. And now my hot tub, maybe I'll make my hot tub into, it's not this color, not by a long way, but I might make it yellow just to represent the fact that it's nice and hot. So there you have it. And there's pink. I'm pink when I'm in the hot tub, but I'm also a little bit more than pink because I'm kind of steamed like a little lobster. So, and then the water is clear, of course, but it reflects the Arizona sky. Although a lot of times we sit in it at night and look at the stars, which is really nice. So there's my hot tub. And while I've got blue on this brush, I'm going to just hit up a couple of other things, like this cart, which is blue. And while I've got that blue cart, I'm going to paint my other cart, which is sort of a green color. You can buy these carts on Amazon. There's an IKEA one, which I think is better than the one I got because it's made of entirely of steel. This IKEA one I bought ends up being partly plastic, but it's actually okay because it's light. You know, at first I was like, oh no, it's plastic, but it's been really resilient, really, and it's the fact that it's light is pretty good. You can move it around pretty easily, so no complaints there. None at all. Right. These are pear trees. Right now they're actually turning color. So I think I'm going to represent the other one as they're losing their leaves and it's autumnal. So I'm going to make the other one orange. And then there's a mulberry tree, which is also starting to change its colors too. So we have one mulberry tree there and another in the backyard. And the house itself right now is a color that we're probably going to change. You know, it's sort of a tannish color that we're not particularly fond of. So we'll probably change that. And this is the garage door, which is wood. And then maybe I'll just paint in some, because the thing about this house is the garden. That is what it's all about here. So don't want to deny that. And there's the earth. While I'm at it, let me just tackle the earth. And sorry, New Zealand. Didn't mean to move you, but why do I have to feel apologetic about that? You know, I didn't draw Indonesia in exactly the right place, and I've been to Indonesia. I've never even been to bloody New Zealand. But anyway, if I've offended thee, I apologize. I'm going to make Australia basically all brown. It's all, this part is all kind of just desert. Make Asia that color, and I'll make United States a slightly different color, and Canada too. So, all right, that's you. Okay, I guess I'll paint this frame sort of a goldish, well, sepia, or ochre actually. There you go. Frame, art frame, YouTube logo. Still slightly embarrassed about that, but I shouldn't be, because this is, I make a lot of stuff on YouTube. If you didn't know, not only do I make this, Draw With Me, but I also make video essays, and I make the podcast, and I do various other things. So yeah, that feels right. And then my new friends, what colors are they going to be? I think I'm going to make them just a hodgepodge of colors. And let's see. Okay, so there's that. And what time is it? We have about 10 minutes. So I think what I want to do is, even though this still needs work, and I promise you, I'm going to continue working on this later. I have all day. It's Thanksgiving. I have all day. What I want to do now is just annotate these things. And I think I'll start here with basically a title to this page. That's why I kind of left this spot here, so I could put in a little caption for it. Reasons to be grateful. I hadn't put my nib properly into the pen. It was just about to fall out. Oh no, it's still doing that. What are you doing, nib? That's why I have backup pens. See, I had to put it into a new pen holder, so that this is feeling wobbly. You don't want a nib loaded with ink on the loose. That is not a good look. This one seems to be doing it too. I have to have a talk with the pen department. All right. There's a caption. And now, do I have time? Well, I'd like to end it on time. So let me see if I can get how much of this I can get done. What I'll probably do in the privacy of my own time is I will write a little bit more than just the caption of what this thing is. I'm going to write about why I'm grateful for them. But I don't know that I want to do that in front of you because I just need to concentrate and think about it. So, yeah, this definitely needs more explanation than just the title. Because right now the title is redundant, right? I mean, do I need to really write Twiggy underneath the drawing of Twiggy? I don't. But for the sake of consistency, I'm going to do that. Here I'm leaning over wet ink, so it is difficult to get good lettering this way. It's the funny thing about working with India ink and trying to work quickly is it can be a messy medium if you're not careful. But if you are careful, it's a really powerful, strong way of making lines graceful and varied and expressive, all these things that you cannot get with any other kind of pen. So if you've never worked with India ink and a dip pen, give it a try. You just need to be patient and you need to be forgiving. How am I going to describe you? Okay, so there it is. Reasons to be grateful 2022. As I said, I'm going to go back in. I'm going to add more layers of stuff. I'm going to do some little call-outs. Maybe I'll do it in another color. Maybe I'll do red ink. That's another thing I like about the dip pen. I can use any colored ink I want. And I have lots of inks, so it's a great way to use them. Pull out a dip pen, dip it into some red ink or some gold ink. Oh, yeah. So that is a nice thing to do. So, yeah. All right. I feel good. I feel like I was holding my breath a little bit while I was doing that. You know, sometimes when you're doing like very delicate things, you're like, it's like you know, what's it called when you like crack a diamond? Yeah, so it was a little nerve-wracking to do that, but I'm grateful that I've done it. And this overall page is just, it feels like 2022, which was a year that I learned a lot of new things this year. That is certainly something that I'm grateful for too. All right. I think I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Let's see. I want to remind you about Jimmy's workshop. I clearly have a lot to learn about gouache, and I will. We're not giving away anything this week, so you don't really need to know the email address. I'll remove that, in fact. And hashtag SBS Draw with me. If you would like to share what you were grateful for this year, you'd like to share that, we will put it at the cavalcade at the beginning of the show if you post it on social media. Sketchbook Skool, hashtag SBS Draw with me. Post it on Facebook, post it on Instagram, wherever you'd like. And we will hunt it down, and next Thursday we will share it. So please do that, because I'd love to know what you're grateful for, if you're willing to share it, if it's not too personal. But art is personal, and it should be. That's the best kind of art, I think. Suzanne says she was daunted to draw from her imagination, but it was fun. Yeah. You've been drawing from life for quite a while, so now you have enough knowledge. Give yourself the credit. You have enough knowledge to draw from your imagination. Art for All podcast. Got another episode coming out on Monday, as we do every Monday, so you can listen to it. You can watch it if you'd like. Danny'sEssays.com. I write an essay every Friday. I'll be writing one tomorrow. Even though it's Thanksgiving, there's no rest for the wicked. I will be writing wickedly, and I will send it to you for free. I also have a new little book that I'm giving out too. So if you'd like to get a copy of my little book, you can get it for free when you sign up. And subscribe to this channel. Just do it. If you haven't subscribed because you don't subscribe, do subscribe. And then you will know next time we put something out, which is all the time. So have a great time. Thank you for being here. Happy Thanksgiving if you're celebrating Thanksgiving. If you're not, happy Mini Friday. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.